Hey, hello and welcome back students. So in this video we are going to see the previous year question paper of MEG-14 Contemporary Indian Literature in English Translation. We are going to see the previous year question paper of June 2024. You'll get the maximum time 3 hours and the maximum marks is 100. We have to answer all the questions. All questions carry equal marks. So I think we have 5 questions and each one carry equal marks. So as you can see, the question number 1 here, discuss the reference of the context any 4 of the following passage. We have to write so there are 6 options. We have to give the answers of 4 questions. Number 2, what part does religion play in Tamas? Discuss. You have to discuss what part does religion play in Tamas. And in the optional of second question we have, do you think Samskara is a repudiations of Brahmins? Let's discuss. And the third question, in what way is Tughlaq a well-structured play? Substantiate. So in the optional of question number 3, there are opposing extremes in the characters of Sultan Muhammad Tughlaq. Comment with reference to the play Tughlaq. In the question number 4, write a short note of any 2 of the following. We have 4 options here. The role of memory in birds, narrative technique in Salt, the compromise as an allegory, stark realism in Birthday. In the question number 5, discuss the salient features of the writer's styles in Mani Mahesh. In the optional of question number 5, what exactly was Premchand's vision of truth and beauty? Examine with suitable example. So this is the previous year question paper of June 2024, and obviously I'm going to cover the answers of this question paper. So what was the question number 1? Discuss the reference to the context of any 4 of the following passage, but I'm going to cover the all options. A, cave roofs are pushed and splintered, mistakes are fine, foolish hall. In the reference and context, this is from the discovery of India by Agaya, a modernist Hindi poet reflecting on India's cultural identity. Cave roof symbolizes ancient Indian traditions and spiritual roots. Pushes and splintered refers to how modernity breaks with tradition. The poet views mistakes as essential to progress, seeing them as necessary. Foolish. So this is foolish hall suggests the painful echoes of past errors that still haunt us. These lines explore India's journey from tradition to modernity, acknowledging the role of mistakes in shaping national consequences. B. Love live thirst. Though all the words is for you, yet the most precious gift of all. In the reference of this context, from Another Birth by Forger Farrukhzad, a modern Persian feminist poet. Love live thirst means love is forever, accompanied by longing thirst for emotional fulfillment. Even if you have the world, the most important thing, lover or inner peace, may still be missing. The poet conveys the conflict between material abundance and emotional emptiness. It reflects the personal yearning of isolation, often felt in modern love and womanhood. C. Will strive to unite the Narcissus with you, and she'll be able to satiate her loneliness. O bumblebee, the black bumblebee. These lines draw from a folk or lyrical poem, often symbolizing love, desire, or union through natural imaginary. Narcissus, a flower symbolizing self-obsession or longing. Unite suggests releasing someone from emotional restraint. The black bumblebee is a symbol of a lover or spiritual seeker. The bee helps satiate loneliness, representing fulfillment or emotional union. The verse uses nature to express deep emotional and possibly spiritual desire. The option was, what impedance in the sunlight? The wind's thoughts are wandering as though it has seen the long vanished over. In the reference of this context, the line is from Birds by Nirmal Verma, translated by Jay Ratan. The sunlight is impudent to bring over, to bright to revealing, as it exposing buried emotions. The wind's wandering thoughts suggests nostalgia or emotional turbulence. Long vanished refers to memories or emotional that had been suppressed. Verma uses atmospheric elements to evoke psychological states like exile, return, and memory. E option was, the moons that floated into the still autumn's nights were borne by the cold winds. This line is from Tamas by Bhishma Shani, a novel dealing with partition violence. The moons represents the pain, death, and suffering of victims. Autumn nights indicates stillness, death, and decay. Cold winds carrying the cries, showing how suffering spreads silently through the land. This imagery shows the horrific atmosphere of communal violence, how pain become part of the air. F option was, that can't be, that can't be. She had died many years ago, she cannot live any longer. Every eye bears its many dreams. These lines reflect the blurring of memory and reality. likely taken from a short story of dramatic monologue, possibly words or Tiny's granny. The speaker is in shock or denial, likely facing a ghost from the past. Repetitions of that can't be suggests trauma, confusion, or psychological disturbance. Every eye begets its many dreams reflects how memories can deceive us or how the mind creates illusions. These lines explore grief, memory, and mental conflict, showing how the past can invade the present. What was the question number 2? Question number 2. What parts does religion play in Tamas? Let's discuss. In Tamas, Bhishma Shani presents a chilling and realistic portrayals of communal violence during the partition of India in 1947. One of the most significant themes in the novel is religion. Not a source of peace but as a tool for manipulation, divisions, and destruction. Sahni doesn't attack any one religion but shows how religion is misused by political leaders, authorities, and even ordinary people to provoke hatred and fear. Now let's discuss the religion as a cause of violence. The entire story begins with the killing of a pig which is placed outside a mosque. This act, rooted in religious insult, sparks a riot between Hindus and Muslims. Here Sahni demonstrates how religious sentiments are fragile and even a small act of provocation can ignite communal tensions. This killing of the pig is not done out of the hatred by the character Nathu, but due to ignorance and poverty, showing how the common man is used by those in power. Political manipulation of religion. Political and community leaders exploit religious identities to gain power and dominance. Leaders like Murad Ali and others who claim to work for peace are often silent or helpless when violence breaks out. Sahni critiques how religion becomes a mask for political agendas rather than a spiritual guide. The authorities, instead of stopping the violence, try to control the narrative, showing apathy, decay, delay, and negligence. Loss of humanity and brotherhood. Before the riots, many Hindus and Muslims lived peacefully together, but when religion becomes a label, humanity disappears. All friends being to see each other as enemies, religious identity overpowers personal relationships, leading to betrayal and death. This shows a danger of blind religious loyalty without compassion or understanding. Now let's discuss the religion versus spirituality. Sahni does not condemn religion itself but the misuse of religion for hatred and violence. True religion should bring peace, empathy, and unity, but in Tamas, we see how it becomes a destructive force. The novel asks, where is a god when humans kill each other in his name? Now let's discuss the symbolism of religion in Tamas. Tamas means darkness, symbolizing ignorance, fear, and blind faith. The darkness in people's mind make them vulnerable or religious manipulation. The story highlights the symbolic darkness caused by fanaticism, communalism, and hatred. Characters and religion. Nathu, a Dalit who acknowledgedly triggers the riot, shows how the oppressed are used in religious games. Richard and British officials represent colonial rulers who use divide and rule policy, benefiting from religious tensions. Local leaders, often hypocrites, using religion for political gain, not for faith or unity. In the conclusion, religion in Tamas is not portrayed as a scared path but as a powerful tool misused by individuals and groups to divide society. Bhishma Sahni reveals how communal identities, when exploited, can lead to horrific violence and loss of innocent lives. He argues us to be beyond labels and focus on our shared humanity, warning us of what happened when religion loses its soul and become a weapon. In the question number 3, in what way is Tughlaq a well-structured play substantiate? And the answer, Girish Karnad's play Tughlaq is widely regarded as a well-structured play, both in terms of its dramatic organization and its powerful integration of theme, character, and historical commentary. It successfully balanced narrative progression, characters development, and thematic depth, making it a fine example of a modern Indian historical drama. Number 1. Clear structure framework. A play is structured in 13 scenes and each scene contributes to the forward movement of the plot. It begins with public support for Tughlaq and gradually moves towards his downfall and isolation. This movement is linear yet psychologically deep, showing the deterioration of both the king's rules and his mental state. Each sense acts like a step in a tragic arc, starting with hope, with decline, and finally disappear. This classic tragic structure echoes that of Shakespearean drama, which adds to the play's universality and timelessness. Number 2. Cohesive characters arc of Tughlaq. The play is titled after the main character Muhammad bin Tughlaq and it revolves entirely around his vision, actions, and downfall. The structure is built to reflect Tughlaq's internal conflicts and political decisions. His idealism at the beginning, dreams of a just and secular India, contrasts deeply with the chaos and bloodshed at the end. Karnad uses Tughlaq's mental and emotional journey as the spine of the play. As the scenes unfold, we witness a gradual disintegration of his ideals, making the play not just a political commentary but a psychological portrait. Third point, use of symbolic and thematic device. The structure strength of Tughlaq also lies in how well themes and symbols are woven into the plot. The shifts of the capital from Delhi to Dolatabad, for example, becomes a symbol of misguided ambition and cruel authority. Additionally, the recurring themes of idealism versus reality, faith versus betrayal, power and its misuse are or carefully structured to appear sense after scene, giving the play a thematic unity. Number 4, blend of history and imagination. While the play is based on a historical figure, Karnal's structuring of the story includes fictional characters like Aziz and Azam, this to act as a counter voice to the king, often representing the communal man's cunning survival. Their subplot is well integrated into the structure and provides comic relief as well as a sharp contrast to the idealistic king. The mixture of real events and creative imagination is seamless, and this contributes to the coherence and flow of the narrative. Number 5, dramatic technique. Karnal uses multiple dramatic techniques that contribute to the play's strong structure. Minimum yet effective stage setting, direction dialogue with deeper meanings, swift sense transitions, use of off-stage events like deaths or wounds to keep the action tightly focused on essential characters. This economy of stage and structure ensures the audience remains focused on the emotional and ideological core of the play. In the conclusion, Tughlaq is a well-structured play because it combines a clear narrative arc, deep character exploration, symbolic richness, and thematic consistency. Karnal's craftsmanship ensured that the structure supports not just the story but the deeper questions of governance, morality, and identity, making it a powerful and enduring political tragedy in Indian English drama. In the optional of question number 3, there are opposing extremes in the characters of Sultan Muhammad Tughlaq. Comment with reference to the play Tughlaq. We are going to write the answer from here. Greenish Karnal Tughlaq represents Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq as a complex and contradictory character full of opposing extremes. He is a man torn between idealism and cruelty, vision and madness, rationality and impulsiveness. These extremes make him one of the most fascinating figures of Indian drama and underline the tragic arc of his fall from a visionary ruler to a paranoid tyrant. Idealism versus tyranny. At the beginning of the play, Tughlaq appears as an enlightened ruler. He promotes a secular and just state, welcomes all religion and dreams of a rational government based on justice and logic. His famous words, "Let the Hindus and Muslims stop fighting, let men to different faiths live in peace," so his lofty ideals. But the very idealism soon turns into oppressive governance. He uses violent and cruel means to impose his ideas. For example, those who impose his plans, like the stepmother of Najib, are eliminated without mercy. This transformation shows the extreme shift from a philosophical king to a ruthless despot. Number 2, wisdom versus madness. Tughlaq is undoubtedly intelligent and well-read. He quotes from a Quran, discusses Greek philosophy, and believes in reason. His decision to shift the capital from Delhi to Dolatabad and introduce token currency was based on innovative ideas. However, this decision provokes to impractical and disastrous. The capital shifts leads to mass suffering and the token currency results in economic collapse. His refusal to listen to avoid to advise, his trust in unworthy people, and his belief that he alone knows what's right all point towards madness hiding behind wisdom. Number 3, justice and injustice. Tughlaq starts off as a king who promises fair justice to all. He wants his court to be a place of truth where even a common man can challenge the king. But his justice system quickly becomes a tool to personal vengeance. A primary example is the execution of his own father and brother, followed by a cruel killing of his stepmother. While he claims to uphold justice, his actions reveals personal insecurity and political paranoia. Number 4, public image versus private reality. Publicly, Tughlaq is seen as a man of vision. He talks of unity, progress, and modern governance, but in private, he is deeply lonely, insecure, and paranoid. His conversations with Barani and the Imam show a man struggling with guilt, sleeplessness, and fear of betrayal. This gap between his public face and inner world is what ultimately destroys him. By the end of the play, he is abandoned by his people, isolated even from his loyal supports, and left only with the company of corpses and betrayal. Number 5, devotion and hypocrisy. Tughlaq is deeply religious. He prays 5 times a day, studies the Quran, and even wants his rule to reflect Islamic values. Yet his actions often contradict his faith. He kills religious leaders, spreads bloodshed, and rules with deceit. This hypocrisy exposes yet another extreme contrast in his character. Tughlaq is not a one-dimensional character. He is a blend of contradictions, his extreme wisdoms and madness, justice and tyranny, idealism and cruelty make him both a tragic hero and a cautionary figure. So these contradictions, Ganesh Karnad explores the danger of unchecked power, the fragility of idealism, and the deep psychological struggles of a ruler who tries to change the world but loses himself in the process. And the question number 4, write short notes of any two of the following, but I will give you the answers of all the 4. A. The role of memory in Birds by Nirmal Verma. Memory plays a central role in Nirmal Verma's short story Birds, functioning as a powerful emotional and narrative device. The story revolves around the protagonist's internal worlds where memories continuously shape his present experiences, and narrative is not linear. Instead, it moves between the past and present, mirroring how memory operates in the human mind. In Birds, the protagonist finds himself in a foreign land, physically distant from home, but emotionally indulged in memories of his past relationship and homeland. This contrast between the present setting and the emotional pull of the past reveals his inner conflict and displacement. The recurring motif of Birds represents freedom, longing, and a subtle link between the memories and emotions. Verma uses memory to evoke a sense of nostalgia and loss. The protagonist reflects on relationships both broken and unresolved, both which haunt his throughout the story. These recollections are not merely flashbacks but deeply affect how he perceives his surroundings, people, and life in general. The fragmented structure of the narrative mirrors the fragmented nature of the memory itself. Moreover, memory in Birds is not just personal, it becomes a symbol of the culture, identity, and emotional anchoring. In exile, memory becomes the only connection to one's rooted traditions and language. Verma's treatment of memory also points to the broader post-colonial experience of displacement and cultural alienation. Thus, memory is not just a theme but a technique in Birds, enabling Verma to explore identity, alienations, and emotional trauma in a suitable, reflective way. B. Narrative technique installed by Mahashweta Devi. Mahashweta Devi's short story Shawl demonstrates a powerful and evocative narrative technique that blends realism, activism, and indigenous storytelling to highlight the brutal explanations of tribal communities. That the narrative is simple in structure but deeply layered in meaning and emotions. One of the key narrative techniques Mahashweta Devi employs a minimalism and stark realism. The language is straightforward and often unembellished, which reflects the harshness of the reality faced by the tribal people. She doesn't romanticize poverty or suffering but instead presents it as it is, raw, painful, and thus this approach shocks the reader into awareness and empathy. Another notable technique is her use of third-person narration, which provides an external observational perspective on the plight of the characters, especially the tribal community. This narrative distinct avoids sentimentally but maintains a tone of deep moral urgency. It allows the reader to witness and systematic injustice without the filter of emotional manipulation. Devi also uses symbolism effectively, especially the symbol of salt, which becomes a metaphor for survival, basic rights and human dignity. Salt is a simple and essential item taken on a powerful political dimensions in the story. Its scarcity and theft represents the erasure of tribal identity and their denied access to basic life resources. In addition, dialogue and silence play an important role. The expressed dialogues reflects the voicelessness of the oppressed, while silence speaks volumes about the systematic neglect they endure. Devi's narrative method become a tool of resistance, giving voice to the unheard. Through these techniques, Mahashweta Devi crafts a poignant story and that blends fictions with socio-political contemporary, pushing the boundaries of literary into activism. C. The compromise as an allegory. The compromise by Vijay Dandeta operates powerfully as an allegory, using symbolic characters and situations to explore deeper societal issues, especially gender roles, patriarchy, and moral dilemmas. At the surface level, the story revolves around the two women, one disguised as a man, who are forced into marriage due to social pressure and norms. However, this surface narrative conceals a deeper meaning. The story becomes a symbolic exploration of identity, choice, and resistance in a rigidly structured society. The character of a woman who dresses as a man represents the fluidity of gender and the challenges faced by those who do not conform of societal expectations. Her discourse is not just practical but also symbolic. It questions the traditional binary roles and exposes how gender identity is often shaped and confirmed by external forces rather than individual essence. The central act of compromise, the quiet acceptance of a situation against one's desire, serves as an allegorical commentary on societal oppressions and survival. Both characters, though victims of patriarchy, find a way of coexist and preserve their dignity within an oppressive system. The compromise then is not weakness but a subtle form of resistance and adaptation. The story also critiques the caste and community pressures that dominate personal lives in traditional society. These external forces are portrayed as rigid, often absurd, yet powerful enough to suppress individual will. Thus, the compromise stands as an allegory of survival in an unjust world. It doesn't advocate rebellion but shows how survival's strength can exist even in quiet acceptance. It encourages readers to reflect on deeper societal structure than govern human relationship and morality. Number D. Stark realism and birthday. Waka Muhammad Bashir's short story Birthday is a powerful example of stark realism, a literary technique that presents life without romanticization of exaggeration. In Birthday, Bashir presents a simple yet emotionally intense narrative highlighting the harsh realities of poverty, human suffering, and emotional vulnerability with honesty and directness. The story revolves around a poor man who forgets his own birthday because he is so overwhelmed by his daily struggles. The central event, a birthday usually associated with joy and celebration, become a symbol of forgotten identity and invisible suffering. This contrast creates a deeply realistic portrayal of how poverty erodes not just physical comforts but also personal dignity and emotional experiences. Bashir uses minimalist language, common everyday details, and dialogue rooted in a local culture to contrast an authentic world. The protagonist's inner world, marked by pain, longing, and helplessness, is expressed through subtle and dramatic moments. This lack of sentimentality makes the emotional weight even more striking. Another aspect of stark realism is the black social environment. The story does not offer any moral conclusions, miracles, or idealistic turns. The indifference of society to the protagonist's suffering reflects the harsh truth of social inequality and neglect. There is no escape for the characters, just endurance. Through Birthday, Bashir invites the readers to witness rather than judge or sympathize from a distance. This grounded and unembellished approaches to storytelling ensure that the emotions in the story feel authentic and immediate. In conclusion, Birthday exemplifies stark realism by exposing the raw, uncomfortable truths of human life, loneliness, poverty, and the deep desire to be seen and remembered without adding any confirming inclusion. In the question number 5, discusses salient features of the writer's style in Mani Mahesh. The short story Mani Mahesh, written by Shiv Kumar and translated into English, is an evocative piece that blends spirituality, human emotions, and landscape is in a deeply poetic and reflective narrative. The writer's style in Mani Mahesh is distinctive or its lyrical tone, symbolic depth, and immersive storytelling, all of which together create a profound spiritual and psychological journey for a reader. Number 1. Descriptive and poetic language. One of the most striking features of Shiv Kumar's style in Mani Mahesh is his poetic and descriptive prose. The language is rich and evocative, especially when portraying nature. The mountain of Mani Mahesh is not just a geographical setting, it is alive with spiritual energy, and the language used elevates it to a symbolic space of divinity and inner transformation. The serene landscape, the sound of the flowing river, and the chill in the air are all described in such detail that the reader can almost feel them. Thus, sensory richness helps deepen the reader's emotional engagement with the story. Number 2. Use of symbolism and metaphor. Shiv Kumar's style is also marked by the use of symbolism. The mountain represents more than just a place. It is a symbol of spiritual aspiration, silence, and the known, and protagonist's journey towards the mountain become a metaphor for self-realization and a search for meaning. The physical trek mirrors an inner journeys of soul, and a story draws on mythical, religious, and personal symbols to build this layered narrative. Number 3. Psychological depth. Another important stylistic feature is the psychological and introspective tone. The protagonist is described as someone who is deeply reflective, experiencing a sense of loss, isolation, and longing. Much of the story unfolds through the inner thoughts of the characters, revealing his emotional struggles and spiritual emptiness. The writer's style here leans towards streams of consequences, though not in a complicated form. It captures fleeting emotions and existential questions that arise within the mind, offering insights into human vulnerability and spiritual threats. Number 4. Interweaving of myth and reality. The style of Mani Mahesh is also unique because of its blending of myths with realism. Shiv Kumar creates a space where religious mythological coexist with the realities of human sorrow and hope. The local legends about Lord Shiva and the scared mountain are not treated and separate from the protagonist's journey. Instead, they are integrated seamlessly into the story, making myth a living presence. This technique gives the narrative a timeless and universal quality. Number 5. Economy and subtlety. Lastly, Shiv Kumar's writing styles in Mani Mahesh is marked by restraint and subtlety. He does not use elaborate or ornamental purpose unnecessarily. These emotions are not overstated, rather they are understated but powerful, leaving space for the reader to reflect and interpret. This simplicity enhances the story's spiritual tone and makes it completely meditative. In the conclusion of Mani Mahesh, Shiv Kumar's style is characterized by lyrical description, symbolic richness, emotional depth, and spiritual resonance. His writing invites readers into a reflective space where nature, myths, and human consequences intertwine, making the story both a personal and universal experience. In the optional of question number 5, we have another questions. What exactly was Premchand's vision of truth and beauty? Examine the suitable example. Premchand, one of the most influential figures in Indian literature, had a distinct and profound visions of truth and beauty that diverged sharply from romantic or idealized notions of aesthetic. Instead of treating beauty as a something abstract or decorative, Premchand rooted both truth and beauty in a lived experiences of ordinary people, particularly the poor and marginalized and the oppressed. His realism was not merely a literary technique but a moral commitment to reveal social injustice and provoke reform. Truth in Premchand's vision. Premchand believed that literature should reflect social reality without sugarcoating it. He saw truth is not an abstract philosophical idea but as something grounded in human suffering, dignity, and moral courage. His story exposes the exploitations of landlords and hypocrisies of religious figures, the blind customs of caste, and the helplessness of women in a patriarchal society. In his famous short story Kafan, Premchand portrays two Dalit men who, instead of buying a sword of a diseased woman, spend the money on liquor. While the act seems immoral on the surface, Premchand reveals the deeper psychological numbness born out of long-standing deprivation. The story forces reading to confront harsh social realities rather than judge them from a distance. This is Premchand's vision of truth, raw, uncomfortable, yet deeply human. Beauty in Premchand's vision. From Premchand's beauty did not lie in romanticized portrayals on enriched language, but in the simplicity and essence of ordinary people. His characters were often rustic, poor, and oppressed, but their quiet heroism and emotional depth made them beautiful in a moral and spiritual sense. In Poos Ki Raat, a winter's night, a poor farmer named Halko cannot afford warm clothes for the cold night. Despite his suffering, he finds joy in small things, the companionship of his dog, the peaceful night sky, and even laugh at his fate. His beauty lies in resilience and acceptance, not in external embellishments. Premchand's women characters like Suman in Seva Sadans or Sujata in Godan are not idealized figures but real women who struggle against social norms. Their beauty lies in their inner sense, capacity of sacrifice, and ability to fight injustice, quality, and yet persistently. Moral aesthetics. Premchand vision connects truly and beauty through a moral lens. He believed that beauty devoid of truth was superficial and truth expressed without moral intent was effective. In his essay Sahitya Ka Udeshya, the aim of literature, he emphasizes that literature should not be just entertainment but a force for moral and social change. In summary, Premchand's vision of truth and beauty was rooted in ethical realism. He believed that literature must expose social realities and awaken the reader's consequences. Beauty for him was not a matter of form but a content. It emerged from truth, empathy, and moral struggle. His stories continue to resonate because they remind us that true beauty lies in honesty, sacrifice, and compassion, values that transcend in time and culture. So I have covered this question paper of MEG 14, Contemporary Indian Literature English translation of June 2024. So this is a very long video. I did very mehnat on it. If you found this video helpful, so like, share, and subscribe this channel. And if you want any other video or another MEG or any questions you have, so comment it down below. I'll create that video very soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.